start with Zac Gallen. Just got the first question for Zac.
No questions? All right, see you guys.
We'll start with Steve now.
Zac, I know you haven't played for any other big league manager, maybe one other one, but what's it like playing for Torey? What are kind of his strengths as a manager? And
I mean, I played for Mattingly in Miami. Yeah, I think, but I wasn't there very long. Just to kind of, I think the good thing about Torey is that as a young guy, I mean, at least for me, he just kind of trusted me with a lot of, things that probably a young guy doesn't get trusted with. And I think he saw the bigger picture, and that was his kind of laying the groundwork for, getting to, later in my career and trying to instill some leadership qualities in the sense of, just, all the things of, trying to become a veteran at a young age, really. And I think he just kind of, lets guys be themselves. I think that's the biggest thing. He's not necessarily from the old school of, things need to be done a certain way. It's like, hey, if you're getting your job done, and you're doing what you need to do, he's going to let you do what makes you feel comfortable. But if things get out of line and stuff like that, he'd said like, I'll put a stop to it. But, if you're performing and you're being respectful, like other than that, be yourself, have fun. He tries to make the game easy on guys.
Jack, and then we can go to Bob in the back.
Beyond the typical jokes of like, hey, save some runs for me for Monday, when you look at a game like that where there's so many runs scored for Maryland given support, just curious your take on what it's like pitching with that much run support versus being in a tight game. Is there any difference in your approach and how you attack hitters in that situation?
Not necessarily. I'm trying to go out there and pitch like a 0-0. Whether we're up 10-0 or we're not. My job is to throw up zeros, so I think pitchers can tend to maybe fall into a little bit of a lull when there's a huge lead out there. Short answer is my approach doesn't really change that much. I'm trying to go out there and stay on the attack. I think there's some spots where you can, tend to be even a little bit more efficient and get in the zone earlier. But for the most part, I'm treating it like it's 0-0.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, do you feel like you found anything in those last 5 innings in Milwaukee, feel-wise or anything like that you can carry over into that start?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a season-long kind of just, I guess you could say, grind of just trying to, make sure that feels how I want it to. But it's you can bring so many things into the game, but there's nothing you can replicate to get out there with the adrenaline. Runners on base, guys standing in the box, stuff like that. But I felt all right going into the game in Milwaukee. Felt like just some timing things clicked. So that's kind of what my focus is right now.
Bob, standing in the back.
Hey, Zac, when Torey was in here earlier, you said you guys are kind of playing with a chip on your shoulder, talking about when you guys beat Milwaukee, there should be reseeding, you guys should be playing Atlanta, that sort of thing. Do you agree? Do you think the team is playing with a little bit of a chip on its shoulder this postseason?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd venture to say that other than the 26 guys, 28 guys in that clubhouse, I don't know anyone else, thinks that we should be here, thinks that we deserve to be here. So I think, and the guys in the clubhouse, know it's a good team. And I think anyone that's been following baseball knows that we're a good team, and we hit a little bit of a, skid in the second half, you could call it. But yeah, I think, it's definitely a team that's probably overlooked. So yeah, I definitely think a chip on the shoulder is, probably a good way to summarize it.
Back row on the right.
Let me know your mindset going into Game 2, ahead by 1. Does that add more pressure knowing that the Dodgers are going to come out firing, or does that give you a little ease going into Game 2? I
don't think either, honestly. I think going in with ease is definitely the wrong mindset, especially against the Dodgers, especially against that lineup. Like you said, they're going to come out firing, but I also don't think there's pressure. I think I said in Milwaukee, I mean, like I said, nobody expects us really to be here, so we're kind of playing with house money, and I think you see us play our best baseball when we're playing, kind of easy, carefree, and I think that's just the mentality that I'm going to have out there, the mentality the other, 26 guys are going to have too. So yeah, I don't think it's either, to be honest with you.
Julia on the left.
Zach, do you like having that underdog mentality and just people overlooking you and going into the playoffs, even though you guys have proved yourself during the season?
Yeah, I think if you look at any team, they're going to find a way to create some sort of chip. I would read stories of Michael Jordan talking about, he would kind of craft things that probably never even happened just to fire him up. And I think, I think you just have to find things that are going to motivate you. And for us, there's a lot of guys in there that have definitely been overlooked. I mean, going back to even, Merrill Kelly, I don't think Merrill gets enough, respect on what he's done in his career, especially the last 2 years. And I think there's a lot of guys, even young guys in there, that have things to prove that, some people think, oh, well, it's, they hadn't been in the big leagues very long or whatever. I think there's a lot of guys that are trying to prove that they belong and that, they're going to be mainstays in this game for sure.
Anything else for Zach? Go here in the second row.
Hey, Zach. Just curious, you sort of along the lines of what you were saying about playing with ease and kind of what you guys have been doing so far in these games. What have you seen specifically from the young guys, Alec and Corbin and Gabby, and how they've just sort of taken to this stage so well?
Yeah, I think it's guys that believe in their preparation. I also think it's guys that, know their talent and believe they should be here, honestly. I don't think it's a shock to them that they're succeeding at this type of stage, this type of level, and this early in their career, honestly. And I think, it's obviously easier said than done, that, but I honestly think those guys expect to be here, expect to succeed, expect to excel. So I think it's kind of just really what it is.
I suppose it's probably a good problem to have, but to have your ace on the mound for game 2 and to have a pretty completely fresh bullpen, how do you balance those two things and when you'll be weighing what Zach's doing tomorrow?
Well, I'll do it the same way I have all year long with Zach. He consistently goes out there and executes a game plan at a very high level and competes. And that's what we've been talking about doing as a group, just going out there and competing. And doing our job. And that's going to be our mindset as a group, specifically on Zach. It'll be me watching him and figuring out when it's time to turn it over to the bullpen and just pay close attention to how they're stacking their team and stacking their lineup, creating some matchup opportunities that will create an advantage for us once I start to maneuver into the bullpen. So it'll be the same math equation that I follow at all times, but it feels very good. And, I want our guys to stay hungry. I want our guys to stay humble and stay where they're at right now because they're ready for the challenge of every day.
Hey, Torey, when did you feel like an upbeat and confidence? Was it winning game 1 in Milwaukee, or was it, clinching that last Saturday, or even before that?
I'll go back to the Chicago series in Wrigley against the Cubs. We felt like we had to go in and make up some ground, and we were playing the Cubs, and it was just direct competition. We saw where they were, and they were the first wild card team at that time. And then coming home, and probably game 2, the extra inning game 2 win was a big push for us emotionally. That we have a chance to come out the next day and sweep them, which we ended up doing. And I think the team took off from there. Then I think we got a little numbers conscious. We started at the end of the year. You start to have different types of meetings, different types of conversations that you have to have as a group. And we ended up losing 4 in a row. But that third day, the Saturday, I felt like there was a collective exhale in our clubhouse. Like, we got in, we fought, we earned it. Now let's go out and do what we do best. So for me, those were a couple key points. But obviously, winning the first day in Milwaukee, coming back on Corbin Burns, I think told us the story that we could beat anybody at any time.
Jack.
Torey, just back to what you were talking about, the humility, staying humble. Last night, getting to speak to the players in the clubhouse, one by one, it was really amazing how they talked about themes that you pound, the connectedness, working together as a team and all that. So how do you go about making sure that those messages are continually reinforced, especially after a game like last night, to make sure that they maintain that approach?
Well, I know when I come up here, it's basically out of my mouth and in their hands, and I know that I can drive home a lot of key points, a lot of key thoughts that I'm having right now at the moment, but they're always following the same theme, and those are big words inside of our culture. All those things you hear me say, a connection, the effort, the preparation, the belief. Those are all things that they've heard since spring training over and over and over again. And I know at times they probably get tired of hearing from me and hearing all that, but it's really what we stand on in good times and in bad. But they're a pretty special group of guys that pay attention and they care about the right things. And they know, because what I've been telling them, what's important to me should be important to you, because what's important to you as a player is extremely important to me. So we have to work together to keep pushing this thing forward. And it's, I don't really pick up on a lot of social media stuff. I'll have a lot of stuff clipped and sent to me in the form of a text message, and I'll hear it, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I was proud of the way that player A or player B said that. That was something that we've talked about, 4 months ago when we were in San Francisco. That was a conversation I had with that player, and that makes me feel good.
In the middle.
Makes me feel good because they actually listen to me. You know what I mean? Sometimes you think nobody listens to you, but they actually listen.
When you're coming off a game like last night, how does it impact kind of the feeling in the clubhouse, the confidence, knowing that you have Zac going tomorrow?
Yeah, I think this team has been having a certain feeling for probably the past 3 or 4 weeks. We've been playing in a lot of pressurized games, and I remember walking into the White Sox clubhouse on day 2, and I looked around that clubhouse, and I felt like that entire clubhouse was relaxed and just ready to go out and compete. That's what I've been seeing every single time in the postseason as well. So things haven't changed. I think they know that Zac is starting for us. I think everybody feels good about it, and I don't care what anybody says. And I'll go back all the way to when I was a player. I knew who was pitching that day or the next day. I knew who was pitching for us, against us, and it drove me and what my thoughts were about how we could attack that next day. Zac Gallen's one of the best pitchers in the National League, but the Dodgers are a very good baseball team, and we're aware of that. So we can't just expect to walk on this field because Zac Gallen's starting and win the baseball game. We know that, and that's why we're here today working out, because we're going to fine-tune a couple things and stay where we are and have conversations that need to be had that will prepare us for tomorrow. But it's always a good starting point.
Back around the middle.
I don't think Zac was super happy with his start in Milwaukee because of how the first inning unfolded. I mean, is that just kind of emblematic of the type of competitor that he is?
Yeah, for sure. He threw 30-plus pitches. I know it was the second or third time that he's done it all year long. He expects perfection from himself, and we know nobody's perfect, but he strives for it with every pitch that he throws. And I know I told you guys, and it's a real story. He walked by me in frustration and said, "I'm going 7 for you today." And I said, "Okay, show me. Go ahead and do it." And he just about did. So I think he can reverse course on certain things. I think he feels like because of that first inning, he's going to have to go out in a very motivated way over these next 3 or 4 days and then land on the bump tomorrow and go out and never let something like that happen again. So I think he's in a good spot.
Torey, coming in as the third wildcard team, you guys were not necessarily expected to do what you've done so far. You feel like you've made some sort of a statement of some sort with how you've played so far?
I'd hope so. The Milwaukee Brewers were not a pushover team, and we played good baseball against them. And I think this team has a chip on its shoulder. I think we take it personal when we watch some of some of the comments on television or read some of the things where everybody wanted to be reseeded. The Braves, reseed this thing so the Braves can pick on the lowly Diamondbacks. So I think this team takes that very personally, and hopefully people are recognizing that you can't just walk all over us. We're a good baseball team. We do things right. We do it in a very uncommon way. We care about things that other teams probably don't care about or talk about, and it's showing up every single day for us.
AJ?
Didn't get a chance to ask last night about Alec Thomas's home run and the at-bat that led to it. What was kind of going through your mind throughout all that? What does it say, given the situation in the game, probably already over, that he's battling the way he is?
That's our mindset. We do it differently, and we don't shut down. This is a very young, energized team with something to prove every single day. It's a 14-pitch at bat, and probably 8-10 pitches into it, I turned to Jeff Bannister and I said, he doesn't have anything to get him out with. He's going to hit this ball hard. And I think both the pitcher and the hitter knew it at that point in time, and probably even the catcher. And that's a good feeling when you're that locked in as a hitter. So this team's hungry. We're humble. I want to be humble, but this team is extremely motivated, extremely connected, and extremely hungry. And when somebody goes 14 pitches in and then hits a ball over the right center field wall, that's a huge statement.
Sam?
You just said that, you guys care about things maybe that other teams don't. I'm curious kind of specifically what it is that you feel like this team does that maybe kind of separates itself.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound like I don't want to be arrogant with that statement, but I don't know what happens inside of every clubhouse or every dugout, but we talk about the minutia, the granular wins, the pitch by pitch wins. We believe in playing fundamental baseball, picking up the baseball, throwing it to the right base, practicing at a very fast pace, digging in, not giving away at bats. I think it's all very common. I think a lot of teams have it. We just talk about it. I think we have to because we're young, and we have to kind of instruct and teach these players through the course of a day, and have those conversations. So it's just coming together at the right time for us, and it looks good, and we want to keep it there. I probably have to think about the things that we talk about. I have a booklet of what we talk about in spring training, and then we continue to talk about through the course of the season that matter. They're not gimmick plays, they're not trick plays, but they're things that pop up that these guys are ready to pull out of their tool belt at any time and execute on a high level.